Assalamu Alaikum. Stop scrolling for just 5 seconds. What if I tell you, you don't need to study harder, you just need to study smarter? Most students read their lessons again and again, but still forget everything in the exam. Why? Because they are reading the wrong way. But today you are about to discover a secret method that toppers use that saves time and makes you remember everything like magic. So don't skip, because this one audio can change your marks forever. Now take your book, open page number 80 in your ICSE class 5 science textbook. Sit properly, back straight, focus 100%, and do one thing. Don't just listen, read along with me, because when you see plus hear plus read together, your brain remembers 3 times faster. Ready? Bismillah, let's begin. Chapter number 9, Work and Energy. When we push an object, it moves away from us. When we pull an object, it moves closer to us. The act of pulling or pushing is called force. The act of pulling or pushing is called force. We cannot see or touch force, but we can see its effects. Force can move a stationary object or stop a moving object. We need less force to move a light object, and we need more force to move a heavy object. The greater the force applied, the farther will be the object move. When the force applied does not move an object, then the object is said to be at rest. Work. In our daily life, we refer to some activities as work. When we read a book for a long time, we feel tired and say that we have done work. When we hold a heavy bag in our hands for some time, our hands get tired and we say that we have done work. However, in science, these activities are not considered as work. Work is done only when a force is able to move an object from one place to another. Okay? Work is done only when a force is able to move an object from one place to another. For example, when we try to move a cupboard and it does not move, we say that no work is done here. But when we pull a table or pick a book from the cupboard, work is done. We say that the force applied by us has moved the table and the book. Work is not done when an object does not move. Work is done when an object moves. Therefore, work depends on the force applied on the object and the distance the object moves. Repeat after me. Therefore, work depends on the force applied on the object and the distance the object moves. Stay with me, don't lose focus. Energy. We cannot apply force or do work without energy. We need energy to do everything. Play, run, move things, and so on. In the earlier example, the energy spent by us was sufficient to provide the necessary force to move the table. So work was done. We could not move the cupboard because the energy spent by us was not sufficient to do work. However, if we take help of more people together, we can move the cupboard. So the total energy spent by all the people can provide sufficient force to do work to move the cupboard. Energy provides force and force can do work. Thus, energy is the ability to do work. Energy is the ability to do work. Repeat after me. Energy is the ability to do work. We need energy to do our day-to-day work. This energy comes from the food we eat. A runner needs more energy than a person who does a desk job. Children who run and play also need more energy. Foods rich in carbohydrates are energy-giving foods. Foods rich in carbohydrates are energy-giving foods. They give us energy to do work. Foods such as chapatis, bread, rice, potatoes, and idlis are rich in carbohydrates. Foods rich in fats are also energy-giving foods. Foods such as ghee, butter, oils, and nuts are rich in fats. You are doing something most students are too lazy to do, and that is exactly why you will score more marks. So stay with me, don't lose focus. Forms of energy. Energy not only helps us do work, we also use different forms of energy in our day-to-day life. Let us see how. Heat energy. We use heat energy to cook food and heat our homes in winter. We use heat energy to cook our food and heat our homes in winter. We also use it to generate electricity. Light energy. Light energy helps us to see objects around us. Plants use the light energy of the sun to make their food by a process called photosynthesis. This is very important for exam. Electrical energy. We use electrical energy to light up houses. We also use it to run household appliances such as refrigerators, fans, and toasters. Sound energy. Sound is also a kind of energy. When an object vibrates, it produces sound in the air. Sound travels in the air and reaches our ears so we can hear it. If you are still here, you are serious about your studies. And trust me, serious students always win. Sources of energy. Solar energy. The sun is the main source of energy on the earth. The energy that we get from the sun is known as solar energy. We get light and heat from solar energy. Plants make food by using solar energy. We eat this food to get energy to work. Solar energy is also used to produce electricity. Water and wind energy. We get electricity energy from the movement of water and wind. The energy we get from these sources is used to produce electricity. Wind is used to rotate windmills that produce electricity. We use energy of flowing water in a dam to produce electricity. Geothermal energy. The innermost part of the earth is very hot. The heat energy we get from this part of the earth is known as geothermal energy. This energy is also used to produce electricity. Fuels. A fuel is a substance that burns to give energy. We burn fuels such as wood, coal, and petrol. We use cooking gas, wood, and coal for cooking or heating. We use petrol and diesel to run our vehicles. Now, continue. Don't break the flow. Renewable and non-renewable sources of energy. The energy we get from different sources such as fuels, the sun, wind, and water can be divided into two categories: non-renewable sources of energy and renewable sources of energy. Non-renewable sources of energy are resources that cannot be replaced once they are all used up. Coal, natural gas, and petroleum are non-renewable sources of energy. They are formed over millions of years from the remains of dead plants and animals. Once they are used up, they cannot be replenished. Therefore, we need to use these sources of energy wisely and effectively. Moreover, the use of these sources of energy pollutes the air. To save non-renewable sources of energy, we should use renewable sources of energy. Renewable sources of energy are resources that can be replenished and will never run out. Solar energy, wind energy, water energy, and geothermal energy are renewable sources of energy. These can be used repeatedly. We can use renewable sources of energy to meet our daily requirements for energy. Moreover, renewable sources of energy do not pollute the air. MashaAllah, you completed the lesson. Now imagine, if you do this daily, no tension before exams, no last minute fear, only confidence. If you found this helpful, then don't forget, like the video, subscribe to the channel and share with your friends. Because you are not just studying here, you are becoming a topper and a winner. Listen daily for 7 days and watch your marks change. All the best for your exam. Until next time, keep smiling.